Hello guys, this is IDQ, and in this video we'll go over what I believe that the best position 1 heroes are in this current meta, 7.29.
If you like this type of content, go to gamersclass.com. For just $9.99 a month, watch masterclasses with pro players, join exclusive live sessions, and get 24/7 access to coaches and other high MMR players. Get full control of your ranked games and start owning with our Supreme Dota 2 membership.
First one would be Naga. Since a lot of range hero got some buffs, and some other heroes got out of the meta because of the nerfs that they received, such as Troll, for example. The hero got nerfed, I believe it has 5% less win rate, so a lot. This Naga is a great hero to play in this patch currently. It's pretty strong hero, it farms super well, and there are multiple reasons. First one would be the farming speed and farming patterns that you can achieve with this hero that aren't really that often, they're common for other heroes. And because the map is sort of new, people don't really know how to contest the farm anymore. So if you can farm a lot, obviously with Naga and illusions, you can split push, you can creep skip a lot of waves, you can easily win games just by doing that, since people won't really understand how the map functions right now and how to contest this hero. Second one, I already mentioned, the second reason would be some heroes got some buff that might be a bit better. For example, Drow got some buffs, Gyrocopter, they changed it a little bit with Flag Cannon, so these heroes will increase in peak rate a bit more. And Naga is really good against this type of heroes. First of all, because you have illusions, and obviously most range heroes are single target. And second of all would be the ultimate, Song of the Siren. So you can just get on top of those squishy range heroes and just kill them with the net and snare them. Other thing is that some current meta heroes, other position 1 carries, are pretty hardly countered by Naga Siren. For example, Sven is decent, Naga is decent against Sven. Naga is really good against Void, and I believe that Void God received decent buffs, so he's gonna be in the meta. It's another hero on the wrist. So yeah, since Naga is decent against Sven, because you can like burn his mana and just focus him, control him, kite him with the ultimate and net, and just play around him basically in the team fights with a lot of nets, especially when you get an X, so you can snare through BKBs and stuff like that. It's a really good hero. And also you have a lot of armor, as you can see in this clip. Like I have 62% physical damage resistance 14 minutes in. So obviously because of those reasons, it's really good. The other hero that I mentioned that's really good against is Void. He received some buffs, I'll talk about him a bit later. But the main point is he can really use his Q, right? The time walk, because you have ensnare. And also if you're buying a diffusal, you can burn his mana and stuff like that. And Void suffers from mana. Like Chronosphere is like half of his mana pool, so it's really hard to get spells off. And another reason would be that you can Song of the Siren when he Chronospheres. So his team and he will be slapped in Chrono if he doesn't get you in it. And because of that you can just reset the team fight, and the Chronosphere will be wasted because of that. Another reason is that Diffusal, some of the items that Naga buys got buffed. For example, Diffusal would be one. Mana Break, damage per mana burn increased from 80% to 100%. This is a kind of a nerf. Mana Break on melee illusions reduced from 16 to 12, but it doesn't really affect that Naga that much. But you got more agility and more intelligence, which is both things that Naga needs. So because of this, I believe it's really good. Item build that we should be going for should probably be something like Manta, Diffusal, and then it depends from there. But Manta, Diffusal are kind of core items for this hero, simply because they synergize very well. You have like 6 illusions, 7 illusions, and you mana burn with all of them, so it's really good. But from there you can go into like 2 different builds. Either you can like get super tanky and buy something like Heart of Tarask or Skadil, like I'm trying to do in this game. Or you can go for sort of a catch build if you're playing against, let's say, Ember Spirit and then Storm Spirit, something like that, you can get an Axe or even an Abyssal Blade. So those are sort of the builds that you can go on this hero. But I would recommend a Diffusal Manta build. Another hero that I believe is going to be pretty good in this meta is Faceless Void, because of a few reasons. First of all, he got a bit of buff with Chronosphere, the backswing got reduced, radius got increased, but cast range got reduced, which is okay. So Chronosphere is it's a little bit better. His time lock, the bash got damage increased by 5 each level. His Q, it's a lot better with shot right now. You gain 400 range on it, so it's really good. Other important thing about it that is the time dilation. It now does damage per second. So because of this, it's a lot better, since almost every hero is gonna get something like a dispel, right? For the Yule Scepter, Lotus Orb, BKBs. But now even if it gets dispels, until it gets dispelled, you still deal the damage from time dilation while it's being under. So because of this, it's really good. Other thing is that some meta heroes Void as a favorite matchup. For example, one would be Slark, other would be Antimage, Sven, stuff like that. Morphling even. Void is really good against them because of multiple reasons. First one would be that they can't really man up against Faceless Void because he has a bash, obviously. So no hero can really like 1v1 him. For example, Sven. It's pretty hard for Sven to deal with Faceless Void because he has a bash, and also you can't really lock him down. You can just time dilate your damage. Antimage and Slark are very similar. They're highly mobile, but then don't really like to be kept in place, or they're supposed to be on cooldown. So time dilation works really well against them. Same as Chronosphere. You can just chrono them and then kill them with your teammates, or even alone if you have enough items. Other reason is that some heroes got nerfs that were really good against him, and that's why he wasn't really picked anymore. For example, Troll. He can just root you down with ult, and you're not gonna hit anyone with W if he would hit you, right? Whirling Axes. Other hero that was really good against him was Monkey King, but Monkey King now got some nerfs, so it's not going to be picked as much. Because you couldn't really Chronosphere, right, against Monkey King. He could just either ult on top of you, on top of the Chrono, or, you know, even X would just do so much damage to you because they're hitting Chronosphere. So because of that, the hero wasn't really picked, Void. The item build for this hero would be Mask of Madness into something like Maelstrom or MKB, and then a defensive item. Either Sanjanyasha, BKB, Lincoln Sphere, something like that. So you just need to survive for a little bit, the enemies burst, and then you can just time walk. So you're really strong in team fights. And later in the game, your item should look something like this. Let's say, yeah, something like this. Just the Mask of Madness first, so you can nuke people in Chrono. Threads, obviously, you can farm faster and stuff like that. Mjolnir afterwards, so you have a bit of magical damage. Combining it with Time Lock is really strong. You have 2 magical damage spells. I mean, not spells, 1 item and a spell. Something like Sanjanyasha. I prefer this item really. I really like this item on Faceless Void. For example, in this game they have a Shaker, so his spells all last a bit longer. I mean a bit less, so I can get my time walk off, so I don't die. Same as Beastmaster, he rolls me, lasts a lot less. He disables on me. Then a BKB, exactly the same thing. So I can hit in Chronosphere would be one, and another would be to survive. I will even go for a Lincoln Sphere afterwards, as you can see. So I'll just get a lot of defensive items because this hero naturally has damage, right? Whenever you get a bash, the hero hits again. So you sort of have double damage, right? Whenever you bash. And because you have 2 magic damage item plus ability, you have a lot of damage naturally. So you can just get a lot of defensive items, and the opponents are just simply not going to be able to burst you, and you will eventually get to kill them. The third hero on the list would be Antimage. I believe that this hero is going to be pretty good in this meta for multiple reasons. First one would be that he got some buffs on the talent trees. As you can see, at level 15 he used to have the cast range on the blink talent, right? And it would be so good that you wouldn't really skip that. But now, and even at level 20, you have +1 second mana void stun instead of -2 seconds on blink, and you get them both for a shard. So you basically get free 8 armors and +1 second on mana void stun just by buying a shard, and this is 1.4k gold. So to put that in perspective, you get sort of a Netherlands with a cast range and the plate mail, right? A 1400 gold item almost, just with one shard. So because of this, I believe that the hero is super good. This is the first reason, because your talents are so much better right now. And one of the weaknesses that Antimage used to have is that he didn't have any armor, right? So that's why heroes like PA, Ursa, stuff like that would be really good against him. But now, since you can get the +8 armor just like that, some of these matchups are going to get turned around, right? Because Antimage is just going to be a lot more tankier. Other thing is that some heroes in the meta right now aren't so good against AM. For example, Lifestealer receives a bit of buff, so he's rising in popularity because he's reverted his old change with a feast. So he now lifesteals and does damage based on the percentage of the HP pool that the enemy hero has that he's attacking. So that's one of them. Other hero in the meta that's not that great against AM would be Spectre, which I'm gonna talk about next. Because Antimage out-farms Spectre, right? Spectre is a hero, such as other heroes in the meta, that really like to farm a lot. The other would be PL, but they got a bit of nerf, so I won't be talking about that. Naga. All of those heroes that really like to farm, Antimage out-farms them, right? So if you just get more items than them, you're simply going to win these matchups. Another hero would be Morphling, Slark. You're really good against all of them. So let me explain why. First, you're really good against Morphling and Slark because you can just burn their mana, right? So they can't really do anything, they won't be able to fight you since they won't have mana. The other type of heroes like PL, Naga, Spectre, they can't really do anything without items, right? So they won't be useful in pressuring the map and getting objectives, taking Roar's Tower, stuff like that, because they're weak without items. Antimage just buys a Battle Fury, and you have a Blink, which other heroes don't have, so you farm a lot faster than them, which means you have a lot more items than them, which means you will come online faster, so they don't really matter that much comparatively to you. All of the illusion heroes that I mentioned before, PL, Naga, since you're buying a Battle Fury, you're pretty good against them either way, right? Since you can clip through the illusions. So those would be few reasons why AM is gonna be pretty good in this patch. Other thing is that, such as Naga, he's just a farmer. So because of that, people aren't really used to the new map, how it looks, how it feels. So you'll be able to get away with things that are more risky usually, that people don't get, haven't been used to yet. How to farm, how to split push. You can just do those type of stuff and win some games. Free MMR. The fourth hero on the list for best position 1 carries in this patch is Spectre. As I said before, as is the pattern, you know, he's pretty good against other heroes that are really good in this meta. For example, two of them that I mentioned already in this video would be PL and Naga. Spectre's really good against them because of multiple reasons. First one would be there's Spectre Dagger. You can just dagger and all the illusions get more damage than the real hero, so you can obviously know which one is real. Other thing is that you can buy a Radiance, which is a really good item for this hero, so you kind of counter the illusions. The third one would be that you have Hunt, so you will know which hero is real, since your illusion is just gonna go there with the real one. The fourth point would be that you have Dispersion, so illusions will just die when they attack you. You can also buy something like a Blade Mail, so yeah, they can't really focus you with illusions, especially. Other thing is that this hero got some buffs. For example, casting got reduced actually on Q. The damage got increased on Desolate, which means that you have more pure damage, which is 0, which is super good. And your shard got buffed. It's a lot better right now. You basically create an illusion just like your ult, but for a lot less mana, 50 mana, last guy that hit you. As you saw in this clip, I won like a teamfight, got an ultra kill when we were like 15,000, 16,000 gold behind, something like that. Simply by having like 2 items that synergize really well. Radiance Manta. This hero is actually really good against a lot of other heroes that are in the meta that I haven't mentioned. Some of them, like all range heroes, since you can just get on top of them very easily with Hunt. Something like Morphling you're really good against. Throw, Gyrocopter, anything that is single target and you can go on. And it's pretty squishy. Because you can just buy a blade when and just run at them. The main issue with Spectre is, like I said before, he just get outscaled by Antimage. As a lot of these heroes that are really good in this particular meta do. So one thing that I would advise is just banning Antimage and picking any other hero that I mentioned before. And that should be really good if you can do that. Other thing is that about the indirect buff that I said before, Necrobot got removed, right? So every hero that just likes to farm got their value increased, because you can't really play against the Beastmaster anymore that just goes Necro and runs at the tower, right? With a push strat. They aren't really a thing anymore because Necrobot got removed. So because of that, every other hero, I mean every carry that likes to farm a lot, just got their value increased, and Spectre would be one of them. Other thing that's really nice about Spectre is that like no hero can mana upon you later in the game, especially when you have level 25 and a blade mail and dispersion talent. Like you're super strong. And the last reason would be that you nobody really goes Silver Edge anymore. The build for the item is really bad. Echo Saber it doesn't really get used by any range heroes, so it's really awkward for them to buy a Silver Edge because they don't utilize one component in Echo Saber. Even though the item got buffed a bit last patch, so I'm not sure about that point anymore. But I'm pretty sure nobody's really gonna buy Silver Edge still. The item build for Spectre should be something like Threads or Phase Boots. It depends against, if you're playing against a lot of physical damage, then you should go for Phase Boots. Else you should probably just get Threads for the mana efficiency. While daggering, just change it to Intelligence and then dagger and then change it back to Agility so you farm fast. And there are like 2 builds. One would be teamfight oriented. Get something like Blade Mail, Manta, Diffusal, so you can run the squishy heroes down. Like throw Gyrocopter as I mentioned before. And the other would be something like a Radiance, right? You buy Blade Mail into Radiance, or just Radiance, Blade Mail and Manta, something like that. So either you go Diffusal so you can fight a bit earlier and chase people down, or you just buy Radiance and get super tanky. Radiance, Blade Mail, and you do so much damage. Everyone just kills themselves while hitting you. Other items that you might want to consider would be Skadi. Since at level 15 you get this talent -8 Spectral Dagger cooldown, and you won't really have enough mana. Like in this clip I didn't really have enough mana for anything. So you should also consider picking up a stick for the 20 charges of mana and HP that you will get. You might survive because of this, since you're super tanky because you're reducing damage from dispersion. So Skadi and Abyssal also, so you can just hunt top of anyone and just bash them and then stun them with Abyssal, so they can die very easily. Another thing that I forgot to mention that applies to every carry, including the last one that I didn't talk about yet, is that the changes that you get stats now, right? +2 to all attributes whenever you want, or when you don't have anything to get any other spells. So because of that, any carry that farms a lot is just going to get like +2 all stats very quickly in the game, because you have a lot of levels. So that means you're more tankier. I mean, you're tankier, you farm faster because of the agility, you have more mana because of the intelligence. So a lot of the heroes that just farm got a lot stronger. Spectre would be one of them. You really want HP, so by having +14 all stats, you're a lot stronger than before, obviously. Such as other heroes that I mentioned before. Another thing about Spectre is that, just like the other heroes before, he isn't countered anymore. I mean, the heroes that counter him are not in the meta. For example, Ursa, right? I haven't seen any Ursa in the dispatch. Same as Troll. Heroes that can just man up on Spectre and would win a fight against him 1v1 because of fervor stacks and fury swipes are no longer available. So a lot of the heroes that were good against Spectre aren't as good anymore. The fifth and final hero in this list is Sven. I believe this hero is like so good right now. It's actually super underrated. First of all, his spells got buffed. Not the cleave or the warcry, but his ult got so much better at first levels. Ultimate at first level now gives 120% bonus damage instead of 100%. At second level gives 160% instead of 150. So that's a high increase already. And the stun shard got changed. It reduced the cooldown by 4 seconds, and the cast range got reduced a bit, but this doesn't really matter. The cooldown is 4 seconds less, so instead of 12 seconds, it's now 8 seconds. It also dispels the shard, so it's super good. The enemy supports can't really escape anymore, because you can dispel their Glimmer Cape, Yule Scepter, you can dispel their Ghost Scepters, and everything like that. Other thing about this hero is that it farms so fast. It's like one of the fastest farmers, right? Since you have the Great Cleave, you're obviously like almost having a Battle Fury whenever you get a spell. Other thing about this is that some heroes in the meta that used to be really good against him, that I mentioned before, Trolls and Ursa and Monkey King, stuff like that, they were really good against him, now aren't really in the meta. And his talent tree got changed. For example, at level 20, the Warcry armor, it didn't used to be there. Like this talent just got included, so you can basically give your whole team plus 25 bonus armor, which is insane. Like super strong. Other thing about it is that, as I mentioned before, you get the stats very early, +2 to all attributes. So it's really good because the hero, it's infamous for not having enough mana, right, for stuns and stuff, especially if you buy the shard, and it reduces the cooldown by 4 seconds, so you won't really be able to spam the stun, but if you get a 14 intelligence, that goes a long way to helping with that. Let's go over the list of the heroes that I mentioned before, that I thought were really good in this patch. First one is Naga. Sven is obviously super good against Naga, right? Because you have Great Cleave, you also give your team a lot of armor with Warcry, and Naga obviously only has physical damage. So this is really good again with helping your teammates against Naga's damage. This is really good against Naga with Great Cleave. Also you have an AoE stun, which carries usually don't have, which is super good against illusions. And you have a lot of damage. And you also can match the pace of Naga, of farming. You also have a level 15 plus 25 Great Cleave damage. So it's super good against the first hero that I mentioned. Second hero was Void, I believe. Obviously, you're like 3000 HP naturally, so Void will have a hard time killing you. In Chronosphere, you can also give your whole team 25 armor, like I mentioned before. 25 armor. Void has 0 damage. You can also turn around the team fight with your ult after you get out of Chrono if you buy something like a Satanic, which is another thing that I want to mention. Satanics got changed right now. It's one of the best heroes in the patch, I believe, since you can dispel with Satanic right now. So every strength hero that couldn't buy Manta and were forced to buy a BKB for no reason, now can just buy a Satanic and dispel stuff. So it's really good because of that. So time dilation or Void, for example, can get dispelled, and every some spells such as Skyrmage in this game, Skyrmage, Silence, stuff like that, you can dispel them. So it's really good because of the item changes also. Third hero, I believe, was Spectre. You're pretty good against Spectre, and as I mentioned before, no hero really likes to buy Silver Edge, right? However, you can buy it on Sven. Echo Saber is one of the really good items on Sven that you can buy. You also need a mana regen, so because of that, you can buy it. So you can counter Spectre with Silver Edge with Break. It's really good. Instead of buying like a Blink, you can just buy Silver Edge, or even both actually. So you also farm a lot faster than Spectre. as I mentioned before, that would be one of Spectre's weaknesses that AM can benefit from. So Sven does that even better because he has like an included Battle Fury. So because of that, you kind of counter Spectre also. The last hero that I mentioned before was Antimage. So obviously you farm similar to Antimage, probably even faster early game. However, you're better at taking Roche, and you have so much physical damage that AM can't really keep up. So he has to buy something like a halberd against this Vayne, which he doesn't really want to do on Antimage, right? So because of that, you're really good against Antimage also. Especially if you can buy something like Echo Saber and Link and just go fight while Antimage is farming. Or you can just out-farm him. Either way, you're still really good at this meta. Some of the other heroes that Sven is pretty good in this meta is Morphin, not really. Morphin kind of is pretty good against Sven, but he got nerfed right now a bit, I believe, in my opinion, because of the mana change. So a lot of the diffusal heroes got buffed. I mean, indirectly buffed, like I mentioned before, you know, Naga. But let me think about a hero that is actually pretty good against. CK would be one of them. Is pretty good against CK because CK got some buffs. Some other heroes that Sven is really good against would be PA, because you can give armor to your whole team, so you don't really so you counter PA because she's only like a physical damage hero. Other would be PL because of the cleave, Terror Blade. So a lot of heroes get countered by this hero. I'm like 3-0, maybe 4-0 with him this patch, and I really enjoyed it. I always picked it first pick, so I didn't really even care about what enemies did, and I still managed to win. I believe this hero is like the dark horse of the patch, to be honest. I don't think a lot of people realize it. And I believe that the biggest mistake that lower skill player, lower MR do is that they don't spam their ultimate. What you're supposed to do as Sven is just whenever you get ulti, you instantly use ult in jungle, especially until like minute 20. You just ult and farm jungle with your ultimate. I believe lower rated players just keep their ultimate on maybe for a team fight or a kill, but it's not worth it, right? You just need to ult and jungle with the ultimate. That's the main thing that people don't understand, I believe. So you just get a lot more farm a lot more earlier, right? This hero works so much better when you have more farm. So because of that, we should try to use our ultimate as soon as possible. Let's go on to the item build on this hero. I believe Threads into Mask of Madness, it's core. Always you should do this, Thread into Mask of Madness, and then you can have like multiple choices. First would be buying something like Echo Saber Blink to try and fight, or not Echo Saber, Sanjay Nyasha, Blink and BKB. That should be core, right? So the purpose with this item is Threads and Mask of Madness would be to farm faster. Echo Saber or Sanjay Nyasha would be to be able to fight pretty well, so you don't get kited around, because SNY gives you movement speed, so you obviously want to get kited. And Echo Saber gives you slow, so because of that, you know, exactly the same idea, you won't get kited. Then BKB, so you can hit people, so you don't get disabled. And then something like AC, Daedalus, it depends what you need, right? You can buy AC if you feel like you need more armor, you can buy a Daedalus if you feel like you need more damage. It all depends on the game. Even a Lincoln Sphere sometimes. For example, if you're playing against the Razor, you can just go Lincoln Sphere, so you don't get drained. You know, all your damage to be gone. Or it just depends on game to game. Some other items that I would consider on this hero would be Bloodthorn if you're playing against something like Tinker, so you don't really want to buy MKB because you won't have enough attack speed, but you can just opt for Bloodthorn so you don't miss anything, and also you have a lot of mana regen. Something else that you could buy is Satanic, like I mentioned before. It's really good right now. It gives you a dispel. You can also like turn around in fights. Since you have a lot of damage, you just press Satanic and then you're healing back to full HP no matter what almost.